Welcome and congratulations. You have made it. You are now a part of the movement, folks. I'm really blessed to be able to provide you guys with a deeper insight into things. This isn't about agreeing or disagreeing. The movement is about understanding yourself, knowing that there's a movement within you and in your life, and everything you do has a cause and effect and a purpose. And if you don't know that yet, then hopefully my podcast can inspire you to feel and think and know these things for yourself. Whether you're young or you're old, trying to find and improve who you are is always a beautiful thing. And that's what we do here in the Movement Podcast. That's what it's all about. I've been doing these for half of the year, most of the year, having real fun, just expressing myself the way someone who, like me, can provide the folks who watch some really deeper looks into certain things in life. And again, this isn't about my opinion. You have to step back and step out of my opinion when you hear this podcast. But I am grateful for those who come out and listen, watching it live or watching it on later on. But that said, this podcast is brought to you by madgamer.com. That is my website. I am Mad Gamer. It's who I am, I guess. I don't know who gave me this name. Who creates these things, right? But so basically today we're going to talk about a really heavy topic. And it's heavy because it is awesome. And it is possibly one of the greatest aspects when it comes to the world right now. And my first statement about what this topic is, first of all, the topic is the gaming industry. What about it, right? There's so much to talk about, but the core and the key is to understand that the gaming industry right now is in full control and has power like no other. Music industry, the movie industry have paved the way, and they've taken charge of the entertainment industry. But video games has becoming more and more relevant to our society in many regards, in many different ways, and it is building and shaping a new form of entertainment, but also a whole new culture of thinkers and livers. Let's call them that. These gamers who challenge themselves, and video games provide that and build different characteristics within them. And there's always pros and cons to everything, just like with music, with movies. These things are art in the end of the day, and you're supposed to take them as art. So anybody that doesn't, that's a different conversation we'll have at another time. But overall, the power of video games is in full force. It is the industry, it is blooming. I'm not talking financially. We can get into the numbers also, but I'm talking society. I'm talking the influence in the culture. These things are evident that video games are taking over in many regards. You have the esports doing one side of it. You have the deeper narrative games touching on mature subjects and reaching certain audiences. You have the interactive games and the brand new VR elements that are coming out into the world. These things are pioneering the future for shaping the world. In one day, I can imagine in 20 years from now, in my view, and I don't even want to say this on the stream, this is like the hottest thing I can come up with. I want to create, just like, I don't know if you guys know what mixed reality or augmented reality is, but with augmented reality and mixed reality, you have things like HoloLens, where you put on these glasses and everything's created in your planet. You know, you have on your wall, you have a big screen TV. On your left, you have the globe, and you can visually see these things, but they're just holograms to a certain extent. And that right there, to me, if we can take that to another level, and houses have this, you know, and also schools have this, you know, and these are the things that the future is looking like not too far away. And it sounds like a fairy tale story, but it's actually very tangible, and we're almost there. Schools are already allowing tablets, kids using them to learn, and it's just a lot of things going on with technology. And video games have been the pioneers of this. They have pushed the envelope. They have consistently pushed technology. And I think the key to that is the creativity, right? The grown man who's 30 plus years old, still living with an open mind to be able to expand and explore and realize, you know what? I'm not going to be this adult who's serious all the time. I want to go into some fantasy world and carry a big sword and take down some monsters and creatures, and you know, I want to save the princess like Mario, or I want to, you know, be stealthy like Metal Gear Solid Snake. These things are truly fourth wall breaking of our own maturity, right? As a grown man myself, people tend to, why you play video games? Like, you know, they look at me now. I went from a music artist and, you know, touring and doing certain things, cutting down into, oh, I pretty much focus on video games now. And it's like, oh, what do you do? And hey, I give them my business card, which is madgamer.com, and it has all. What is that? What do you do with that? You just play games? And I'm like, yeah, sort of. And you know, I've had to explain to them the intricate parts of the industry, but the concept of it is, the core of it, it is heavy duty, still 100% a viable thing no matter what age you are. So the topic of that, and the reason I'm bringing that up, is because it's really empowering our communities and our society to build and to grow more, to expand more, to explore more, and to be at that place where they can continue to build. We have a great future on our hands. And I think when you're sitting down with the average folks about games, that's a different conversation from what I'm saying. I think, first of all, you sit down with guys like me who are not in the industry fully and not a fan fully. I'm in the medium. There's the fans, there's the developers, there's the publishers, you know, and each person has a different perspective, because the publishers are worried about business. The developers are worried about creating an amazing game, but have the pressure of the publishers pushing them. Then they have the pulling of the fans, make us happy. Then you have the fans who just are selfish, and I'll admit it as a fan myself. You always want everything. You want all the DLC and everything for free, or you want more content, and they should have made, you know, the game took me 80 hours to beat, but it was too short. It was too short. I can think of games like Destiny 1 where the content, they didn't have a lot of content. How long did it take you to beat all of the content? And they'll tell me 30 hours. That's not enough. It's like, what do you mean? There's games like Uncharted that give you 6 hours, and it's a great experience, a very linear game, no freedom. You're just going straight down the hallway at all times, but they're amazing games. So this is where gamers need to learn the definitions of what is value. And this is the conversation I'm going to have today about valuing the gaming industry as a whole. So we have and I'm going to break this down in two parts, and I'm going to do that as simple as possible. You have, just like I said, the linear games like Uncharted, where you go straight down the line, you're always in a hallway, you're always moving forward, you hardly ever have to go back, you might solve a puzzle or two, you might climb a tree or whatever, and get to the next area, and you just keep moving down that hallway, and you'll finish the game in 6 hours. You'll feel really satisfied because it's a narrative based game anyways, so you're not really playing it because you think the gameplay was the greatest of all time. You play it because the narrative is so addictive and you want to know what's next. Oh, what happens next? And you get into the story, but the gameplay is a lot of fun also. So that's usually how those games are designed. And then the opposite of that is these open world games where a lot of people create open world games with hardly any narrative, and the focus is on the gameplay, the freedom. A lot of players misinterpret the reason for that. The reason for that is the player creates his own story through the gameplay. A game that I would say the most that did it perfectly was Metal Gear Solid V: The Phantom Pain. And the reason why is because if you look at the just the narrative also, they cut the narrative. The character hardly speaks. But the reason for that is because at the end, you know, you find out you are, I don't want to spoil it too much, but you find out a specific thing that makes you very special. And what happens is the war stories that you have throughout the gameplay, the war stories you can share with your friends or just remember, are the stories that create the real story behind that game. You know, a really pure breakdown of what is or what isn't, to say the least. So you have that type of game. Now the narrative isn't too heavy in the open world games. You can name a bunch of them. Some of them do have narrative based aspects, and then you gotta balance it, right? So I'll give you two popular ones this year that are, to me, in battle for Game of the Year: Assassin's Creed Origins and Horizon Zero Dawn. Both of these games are narrative based, but their gameplay is amazing. They have a deep lore, and the thing is, it's about pacing, right? How do you pace a game that is open world? That is a question, and that is a deep question for developers. They have to spend their 4 years, 3 years creating the game, trying to figure out how to piece that together. And what happens is, if you have a linear game like the old Metal Gear games or Uncharted's, these games don't give you a lot of freedom. You're stuck on those hallway aspects. And what happens is, I can easily develop that and pace it. So in the first 20-30 minutes you're intense battling, and then the next 10 minutes you're going to be walking or swimming or doing something very, very chilled out, like climbing. You know, maybe I'll put a puzzle in there for you. Figure this out, man. You ain't going to get to the next intense part until you figure it out. So the pacing is very simple and basic, and you won't have to really worry. And this is cool. Like, I hope nobody takes me saying anything about the hallway games, what I call them, the linear games, those narrow aspects that are, I'm not saying those are bad. I like those. I love those, actually. They're really great to have. But to be able to give us a full open world, this is where the players are responsible for their pacing also. If I rush through every main mission and never play a side op until I finish the story, like a lot of people do, then the pacing for me as a player was wrong. If I play through the game and I'm headed towards a mission in the open world, and I casually stop at a side mission, a side quest, whatever you want to call it, these small objectives, and I'm doing them as I go, and then I'm like, all right, let me get back to the main mission. Then my experience as a player, I paced it for myself. So this freedom is so powerful, and it's an amazing one if you know how to utilize it the way a really good gamer knows how. And it's self-taught. Like, you have to be able to have discipline, not to say, I'm just going to rush through, I want to finish the game. You know, that is not the concept of playing a video game, in my opinion. It's about the experience overall. And I think, you know, developers try to provide you, most developers try to provide you with some kind of experience rather than, oh, you got through it, it was cool, right? Good, bye. It's really immersing themselves in the universe, in the characters, in their environment, in the storytelling. All of these things play a big part. But so my point is, there you have the argument on both sides. What is better, right? At the moment, open worlds are becoming the trend. Multiplayer games are becoming the trend. There's, these narrative-based games. Oh, it's so hard. I don't know about these. But you got amazing games this year that prove to you that narrative-based games are still the best, in my opinion. Horizon Zero Dawn, Assassin's Creed Origin, those two are the best games of this year. We can have an argument with these other guys, which some of my friends and family. Destiny 2 was the best game of 2017, bro. You kidding me? Come on, man. And then we'll have a deep argument about it. And I'm not ever saying that they're wrong. I just make my point. And sometimes I'm very strong about making my point. And they don't like that because people just want you to either disagree to disagree, agree to disagree, or agree with them. And I'm just kind of like, nope. I'm not agreeing to disagree because you got to get the reality check here. The pacing and the overall aspect with Horizon Zero Dawn, man. Like, I truly fell in love with it. I spent like 2 hours just exploring, fighting all these creatures, aka machines, dinosaurs, and whatever you want to call them. And that had nothing to do with the story. That had nothing to do with a side mission. It was just me enjoying it and having fun. Apologies, I had a human moment there. So, those things are what make this game, that game special. Horizon Zero Dawn, is that I got to really immerse myself and I got to play, and I still play once in a while. And sometimes I'm like, oh, let me go and do this, and then I end up somewhere completely different, fighting off all these machines, either for a side mission or just because they were in the way, and it was so much fun. It's a challenge because these machines have these shields and they have these weaknesses and these strengths, and you got to try to. So it's really cool setup the way they did that. And I'm not just talking about that game. I'm not here to advertise it, but the moral of it is the open world, no online service, no like multiplayer or co-op, just straight 100% interesting, fun story. And it was so compelling for me to be able to experience it. And I know that this narrative needs to stay. And does it need to evolve? Yes. But those are the keys. And the reason I bring this up is because what happens is gamers, us gamers, the fans, tend to never really get the picture. And what I mean by that is that there's really no type of understanding. Like right now, the hot topic, I made a podcast about on Monday, I think it was. I made a podcast on Monday about microtransactions and how I feel. To make a quick summary of that, I never bought a microtransaction till this day. It's 2017, and I've been playing since the 80s. So you're talking about close to 30 years of playing video games, and never have I once bought a microtransaction. I have bought DLCs and season passes. I've gotten those. But the funny thing is that microtransactions, the reality is microtransactions are just like DLCs and season passes. The only difference is that it's micro. So if I buy a DLC that comes with, let's say Star Wars, since that's the hot topic, Star Wars DLC. If I'm going to buy Star Wars DLC and it gives me Darth Vader, Rey, and Yoda, right? And it also gives me 2 new game modes and some skins for this or that character. I buy the DLC or the season pass, and I get that. Now, that's one thing. That's a season pass. That's a DLC. Oh my God, it's okay if they do it like that. But if I go and I buy it in a microtransaction, which is like, you know what? I'm just going to buy Darth Vader because he's awesome. Now, there's no difference there. I'm still paying the company for content either way. So I'm very hypocritical when I say I've never bought microtransactions. I have bought DLC and season passes, which is basically bundled microtransactions. It's all that it is. And the facts are, you know, I'm educating people because people tend to create their own illusions. Even myself, I hate microtransactions. I really don't like them. I'm not going to buy them. And I've said that to myself, and I've done that. But in the end of the day, buying a DLC, I'm going to quote myself right now on my podcast. While I tweet this, I'm going to say this. Nobody's going to like this. So I wrote, buying DLC is basically paying for a bundle of microtransactions. So I'm going to start quoting myself as I go. I might need to get an assistant to do that while I talk. No, so the reason I'm saying that is because I'm hypocritical. I always say don't buy the microtransactions. I think, you know, on my podcast on Monday, what I said was I like Titanfall 2. I said Titanfall 2 has free DLC. It has free everything. You won't. And I think as a developer, when I create the game I want to create, I don't want to separate the communities. I know what it's like, right? You buy Battlefield 1, and when you get that game, oh, it's so awesome. You're playing with your friends. Next thing you know, they buy the DLC, and you're not that interested in the DLC because you don't play the game as much, but you want to hang out with them because the way I do things is I have too many games. I have thousands of games. I already have like 1,000 on my library. It's too much. I can't even keep up to the games I have. But when a friend calls me, texts me, messages me on PlayStation or on social media, hey, let's go play Battlefield 1. I'm like, cool, man, let's go. I get on, and it's like, nah, oh, bro, I got the DLC. You didn't get the DLC? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, we can't play, man. I want to play the DLC. Now they have to bow down and come into the regular game because I haven't bought the DLC. So either it makes me buy the DLC or I make him not play the DLC. So the community can be split. Now, one thing I will say about Battlefield, this isn't a shout out to them. They actually created a system that if your friend that you're playing with, partnered with, plays, then you can actually play that DLC for free. So I think that's a great system from Battlefield. Then going back to Titanfall, what I love about them is that all the content's free, and this doesn't separate the community. So players can play all the game modes. They can play, you know, all of the characters and all that. The only difference is you can purchase microtransactions for the cosmetics and things like that. So it makes sense, you know, to a certain extent. But now the question is, how much money does Titanfall make from that? And why I'm thinking about money, I'm the one spending my money, right? Like, I paid $60. They better be giving me some. That's what a normal player, fan, person would say. But when you think reality and you think outside of your selfishness, you realize these developers spend 3-4 years working on a game, and if it doesn't sell well the first launch, you know, they're going to be hurting for the rest of the year and having to put out DLCs for us. And if the DLCs don't sell, they're really going to lose their jobs and their reputations and their resumes. Like, oh, you flopped. That game flopped. that game flopped. Now, is it their fault or is it our fault? Right? And this is a give or take between the community and the developers, you know, and having the publishers respect the community also. So it's a complicated weave, because now it's like, oh, you doing season pass, that sucks. Oh, you're doing regular DLC, no season pass, that sucks. Oh, you're doing microtransactions, no DLC, that sucks. And people all have their choices of what they like better. And I think it's a good topic to figure out what is the best way. What is the best way? I honestly want to know. I want to see what it's like. I want to feel what the difference and the change can be for us as a society, aka the gaming industry. And this is a tough topic, and that's not what I wanted to address really on this conversation, but it is a necessary one. And the reason I bring that up is because it's hard, man. Like, as a gamer, I want to spend $60, right? I'm old school, so I buy a game, I pay $60, I love it, and it's like, oh, do I really want to get this DLC? How in love I am with this game, you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm a lot more privileged than a lot of folks as far as financially. I can buy this and spend money on things, so I got that luxury. But then when I step back out of myself and I think, what are these people who don't have enough money? They can only get one game or 2-3 games a year at best, you know, and now they got to buy the DLC, and now they can't play with their friends because they didn't get the DLC, and the DLC is $20, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh man, oh well, you could get a season pass for $60, or you can get the, you know, and there's so many different options now. It's like, buy the day one, you get extra content. Buy the season pass day one, where you get this for $200. Buy the, you know, and it's complicated because, one, the developers need their money to be able to continue to make the game for us. Two, the fans don't deserve to be spending too much crazy dollars. So it's complicated. I honestly think games should go up to $100, and we get the 3 packs of DLC. I would say 3. And what I mean by that is, you know, each game usually has about 3 DLCs, mostly like multiplayer games. But, you know, games like The Division, for example, has come out with a lot of content, and this year it's all free content. Last year was paid content, and they had 3 new game modes. They had new areas in the game, new story parts, new incursions, which are kind of raids, which you call in Destiny. They had these incursions, you know, they had new systems implemented. It's a lot of things to go in there, and I had the season pass, luckily, and I didn't have to spend a penny, right? But in reality, damn, like, you know, what if there wasn't a season pass, right? And you had to buy it all DLC only? How would that cost? How much more would that have cost me? Or what if there was no DLC or season pass, and they said, we're going to do microtransactions only. You can get all these stuff individually on your own. And then what happens is, how does that affect the community? And these are the type of questions that I wonder. It's about the community more. That's what matters to me. So how does it affect the community? Are we doing the right thing by making it microtransactions? Are we doing the right thing by making it season pass, or just regular DLC, no season pass? How do we define what is best, you know, overall for all of them? Because you got to think about the developers surviving financially, being able to continue to make the damn game and have a job, not get fired. Then you got to think about the fans not blowing all their money, or people who just can't buy the game. You know, there's just people who can't buy the game, and it's not like they're being cheap. They just can't. They don't have the money to buy the DLCs. You know, fit $20 every 2-3 months for DLC. And it's complicated because at this day and age, a lot of gamers, sadly, a lot of gamers don't know how to enjoy classics. You know, they'll go on, move on to the next thing. Same thing with music. A lot of people just go with what's hot, what's next. And it's not always about this is the best song that I love to listen to. It's like, oh, this is a new song. You heard this? And people will let me, for example, I'm at a party and they're like, oh, you should play this song for me. And they play it, and it's a song that is not that great, but it's a song that's hot right now. So that's what the trend is. And I think the same thing happens with us when it comes to video games. Every week there's a new game, so people are moving on. There's these YouTubers and streamers who never are loyal to their games. They usually just play whatever's a popular game. You know, whatever's popular. You look online right now, and all the biggest streamers are sticking to what's popular. So let's say, oh man, I shouldn't do this. I love this girl, and I'm gonna put her name on blast. Sniper Wolf. I'm saying it right now. Sniper Wolf is a gorgeous, I'm talking about goddess type of looking human being, and I adore her. I don't get to watch a lot of her content at all. Back in the day when she was on that Sniper Wolf life, I did check her out before that, but I haven't been paying attention to her much. And it's not because she's doing terrible things. She's still doing great things, I believe, but she doesn't do Metal Gear, and that's my favorite game, so I just don't pay her as much mind. If I want to get some quick look at her beauty, you know, maybe go to her Instagram or something. I gotta like shout her out right now because I'm legitimately just talking about her. But basically, you know, and it's not to hate on her, and this is the shade of what I'm trying to say is a little bit iffy. So, but the point is, she's doing great things. She's very popular. She got a lot of stuff going on. You know, I couldn't tell you in detail, but she does a lot of great stuff. But she just follows the waves with the games, the popular games. And that's what all of these YouTubers, streamers are doing. And it's fine. Hey, you want to make a living off of gaming, right? So that is your avenue, and enjoy it. And I've never been that type of guy. I do love trying all the games, but I always play them to fall in love. Like I'm like one of those hopeless romantic gamers where like I play one and I'm like, please let this be the game that'll change my world, because Metal Gear is always my baby and I'm never gonna leave it. But if I can have another one or two or three, it's not a girlfriend, it's just a video game. So I will take 3 or 4 games that I'm in love with, and Metal Gear's been the only one. NBA Live 18 has come back from the suffering that I went through since 2010 that they've been gone, but they're back and stronger than ever. Those are the 2 games that I really love. But the point is, I stick to my certain avenues. I still play every game that comes out. I still, you know, review these games and whatever, stream some of them, but I always go back to my babies. And a lot of these streamers don't do that. And it's not like a hate thing. On them of what I'm saying, but it's a reality, you know what I mean? And the reason this subject is a factor is because we got to get to a place where, yes, I get it, we're all YouTube and streaming content and we want to be what's hot, we want to be on the board, but also we got to be real, we got to be honest. And then a lot of younger gamers, you know, they follow that trend of whatever's popping right now, whatever's happening, and it tends to destroy the important parts of the reason why it all comes to this place. Is you got to ensure you appreciate the games you love and support them. So financially, you know, I'll give my money to certain games I truly love. For example, if I was a big Star Wars fan, which I'm a really great fan, but I'm like, I didn't start loving the series until 5 years ago, or not even 3 years ago, back when The Force Awakenings was the original movie that I saw for Star Wars. Like, I right before I saw that movie, I watched all of the series for the first time, and then I fell in love with it. And then since then, I love it. So now this game, Star Wars, had some really bad hits about the microtransaction. That doesn't mean the game isn't good. If I could figure out how to work it, they just announced that they're going to take out all the microtransactions yesterday, and they said, you know, we're going to take it out for now. I don't know how they're going to re-implement it or whatever, but I respect that. And I think if I really was a Star Wars fan, I wouldn't trash them, and I would play it and say, all right, figure it out, guys, while we hang out over here. I will wait. But play the game. It's an amazing game. It looks really good. A friend of mine was playing it, and I got to check it out. I'm not going to say who because then I'll get them in trouble. But they were playing it for the review of it, and I really had a blast just checking it out, watching them. And I was like, damn, this looks really good. It's when I played my version of it, it was really good, and now it's really great. Like, just story-wise, I would want to play through the story. So, am I encouraging you to go support microtransactions or something? No. But I'm telling you that there's a certain balance in this, and that we have to come to the right place. And I think the industry is learning. You know, we're all growing and learning, and I think once this phase goes by, people will realize, and my quote is heavy, what I just said. And I talked about, I'm about to quote myself again. So I just tweeted Sniper Wolf. Hopefully she doesn't kill me and doesn't see this part. Nobody clip this and send it to her. Don't. But no, man. So hopefully we can build upon it. You know, developers have to be sensible and figure out the right way to go. And then gamers have to be sensible also. You either buy, if you want more if a game comes out and it gives you all this great stuff for to start off with, you pay the $60, you're good to go. That's it. See you later. Thank you. That was fun. That's it. Don't complain. If you're going to ask for DLC, season passes, microtransactions, any which one of those, they're all the same thing. Is what I'm saying to you. So don't disrespect them, one or the other, because you're disrespecting all of them. And you know, you want that DLC, you want that season pass for it, or you want that microtransaction, it's all the same thing. Developers have to sit there and spend hours to create new content just so that you can purchase it, so that they can have their jobs still. They're fighting for their jobs. It's a stressful environment, and I feel bad for them, and I just wish I can give every developer a hug. I'm going to go to E3 next year and just put on the sign, hugs for developers. If you're a developer, hug me. Is in the back is going to say that part, both of those two things. And I'm just going to hug every person there, because they go through hell every day designing these games and meeting deadlines, and the pressure's serious. So I know I'm drilling it into the users, gamers, and fans' heads, but I just got to be real, man. And it's a tough subject, but it needs to be said. It needs to be said. Anyway, let me get a drink of water. We're about to get into some real stuff right now. So yeah, so shout out to, I'm gonna say it one more time, Sniper Wolf. She's a amazing streamer. I think her stream is like SSS. I just tagged her, so I should know it. SSS Sniper Wolf. So 2 S's and then Sniper Wolf. And you know, she started her fame being, you know, doing the whole Metal Gear thing, and then she never looked back. And there's nothing wrong with that, but my moral and concept and point of all that is that you got to really respect the industry, and don't sit here. Hold on a second. I'm reading some text messages. Guys, I cannot react to everybody's comments about a bunch of random stuff until the end of this stream, by the way. So, save it all for later. I appreciate it though. So, in the end of the day, you know, the gaming industry is at a great place. There's this little one of the issues here is that I would say the second one is teaching the communities. You know, like I've been working on Metal Gear community and healing them and building them up, and there's always people who are just trolly. There's nothing wrong with a troll if you're respectful. I think trolls can be fun. There's an art to it, but knowing how to respect and be funny, you know, like I think being funny is like, the word troll is taken out the wrong way now, and it's representing the wrong kind of people. I think what a troll should be is somebody who's a comedian who can roast you in a fun, respectful way. I don't think being, you know, joked on, clowned on, dissed is bad. I think, for example, me, my height, I'm 5'6". People could make fun of that. I got a big head, you know. I'm fairly old. I'm a little bit chubby right now. Those things are common, known facts. You know what I mean? And if you want to joke, I will not get offended. It might be offensive, but it's not offensive to me. And I'll take the joke and I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. But then if you're targeting personal things or trying to slander someone's character, these are the lines that people start crossing, thinking that they're funny, and they're not. And that's where, you know, the borderlines change, and the industry, when it comes to these gamers, need to grow and understand. I understand that most of them are kids, but then there's adults that do this, and it's like, come on, Kevin, come on, Sonny. But that mentality, that structure, that game plan, and that breakdown is really all about building a better understanding, and it takes the communities coming together. And I've been doing that really good with Metal Gear, and I'm blessed to be able to do that for those guys. But you know, I'm hanging out with the NBA Live community hardcore. These guys are really great. It's been a fun time, and they've been abrasive, and it's dope. You know, NBA Live is a game that had some rough patches, and it's top of the line this year. And just to talk about that, I'll explain. In 1989, I'm not going to get too deep, but we're going to do a little bit. In 1989, EA created playoff basketball, and in that playoff basketball, you know, was what the shaping, let's say, of the future. And it was Lakers versus Celtics in 1989. That was the name of the game. And it was the first time that you got NBA licenses for those two teams only. And then the next year they did the Bulls and Lakers. Then they continued to add things like the signature Jordan dunks, player likeness, the all-star teams being in there. And they just put in all the teams later on. And then it wasn't until like 1994 when they first officially moved over to NBA Live instead of calling it the playoffs, NBA playoff stuff. That's what they would label it as, you know, one team versus the other team. But then they changed it into something great, which is NBA Live. Then they broke so many innovative grounds with a lot of technology that is used today, and I really appreciate them for that, because I was a kid growing up watching that. So since 1994, when it turned into Live, it continued to evolve. You know, they brought so much stuff to the industry, and all of their technology, all of that has been used throughout the globe for other games. And you look at it, you say, wow. And being one of the originator people who's seen it live, to being able to be a part of the future, and watching all these other games adapt and take some of this technology and type of mechanics and gameplay elements. You gotta love it. But what happened was they dominated all the way into 2010. Then they just stopped making the game, and they fell apart for 3 years, and then they came back with a couple of games that weren't really where they needed to be. And it wasn't in 2017, this year, that they came out with NBA Live 18, which is the best basketball game I've ever played. Now, the journey there, people don't realize, people getting fired, probably losing their homes, losing their lives, their cars, their families, probably struggling, and divorces happening. Things happen, financial issues can affect every part of your life, and people don't realize that. So, people trash them, and oh man, between 2010 and now, oh man, that garbage, man, and they go crazy. And it's one thing to criticize a game, say the game wasn't good. Then there's another thing to just bash the studio completely. So I just don't respect that, and I don't appreciate that. I don't like when the community does that, and I think they don't know. You know what I mean? There's human beings who bust their ass for you. And part of my saying that, word, but it's just honestly frustrating to see that, because I don't know all these developers. I don't know most of them, but even if I knew only one, to know the hard work and dedication that they go through, for somebody to completely bash them. And I think that's somewhere the community got to grow, and we'll get there. I think the community has been being a lot better. I'm not talking about live. I'm talking about all the industry communities. So it's a growing stage, and it's coming to a place where, I personally tell developers to start to build, man. Like, put out these things every day. There should be a scheduled tweet 3-4 times a day saying, hey, if you want to give constructive feedback, please email us at, and then send the email. Oh, please go to the forum if you want to give feedback, and hit us up there. We'll gladly look it up and see what we could do. Then these people who are ranting, causing toxic, natures, can actually find somewhere to go, and then they can have some type of constructive level to them. And I think people like me who are conscious can always speak to them, and I always do. Every time I see somebody getting nasty, I have a conversation with them and say, hey, look, I get the frustration and anger. We all could feel it. We all felt it sometime in our life, somewhere along the way. But there's a certain amount of give or take, and understanding where it's at and being at the right level with it. So that is where, the industry, when it comes to the players, need to grow. So, but for me, the key is players respecting DLC, season passes, and microtransactions, speaking their minds. Like they did very loud and clearly about Star Wars, but they did it in a disrespectful way. Some of them getting death threats or whatever. But in the end of the day, these things are real and they need to happen. Like if a game just came out with no DLC, there'd be so many great games that sucked. Like games that just didn't hit on the nail. The extra service that we get in this day and age, the on-demand, we need this change, and within a month, the whole game can change. Games like The Division, for example, when it first came out, it was way too spongy. I mean, you would spend a good 8 minutes headshotting a boss and him not going down. And Destiny does this also, and it's an RPG element to the game. I get it, but there's a certain amount of like, okay, this is overpowered. This is too much. This is crazy. So I think Destiny 2, for example, has created the right patterns, and it's a lot better than the original. And then you take The Division, who, let's say, for example, in the first month, the game was just hard to play because you would spend 20 million bullets on one guy, and it's kind of like This gets boring after a while. So they did a great job balancing it, and if you play right now, the game's amazing. It's well balanced, it feels really good, it flows good, it's a lot of fun, it's interesting, and I truly love it. It was I know this is crazy, but I will admit it was my game of the year when it released, in my opinion, because I played so many hours of it and I was in love with it because I'm from New York, and they did a great job with detailing New York City, and then with the environment and the characters, accents, and attitudes were New York style, and the gameplay had me immersed for too many hours, so I gave it Game of the Year for that reason, my personal pick. But there were other great games who won and stuff, like Uncharted. But the moral and my personal view about that is, you know, we're spoiled brats. You know, we get a game, oh, this ain't no good. You know, back in the day, there was no updates, there was no DLCs, there was none of that. You purchase a game, you blow the cartridge, you stick it into your dusty system, and you play with your 2 buttons. You know, when I first started playing video games, it was a stick and 1 button. Arcades, I mean Atari type style, and that was it. 1 button and 1 stick. And then it evolved, to the point now where we can get an update every week to change some of the issues in our game. But to do that, we have to pay these people, unfortunately. And some of these developers, I would pay $100. There's $100 games that I would pay for. Destiny, I would pay $100 for that. I would pay for $100 for Division. Those are services games. They consistently update every week. They're changing things in the game, the guns, the enemies, the movement, the enemy behavior. Some of the environment changes a bit because they need to adjust it for any issues that they have. Like, there's so much going on with that I think, you know, those type of games, 100%, I would pay $100 just to buy the game, is what I'm saying. And now that's crazy. Oh, you just rich. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I don't want to pay no $100. I would pay for free if you let me. But the concept is respect the art, respect the hard work. These guys put in their blood, sweat, and tears, and it's up to us to appreciate that and respect that for what it is, you know. And this is where, for me, the kids in this world can't appreciate it. Look at me listening to myself. They don't have any appreciation for that hard work that goes into it. And I think there should be documentaries for every game. And I mean, like, post-launch. Like, make a documentary. Like, okay, well, actually, no, make a documentary for before the launch, everything in the office. Show them how hard they work, 8 hours. Give them the time. Give them the statistics. They're spending 12 hours a day. Right before launch, they spend the whole last 2 months working 12-hour days or something. And then they got to this and that. And then when the game launches, they got to come back all the time. Some people come working at nighttime because, you know, the servers, and they got to do the server updates or whatever. A documentary, just get it out and make it public and make it free. And then make it mandatory that everybody watch. You want to play video games on the PlayStation 4? You have to watch this video. You're screwed. Until you realize and respect the hard work that goes into this, we are not going to let you play a game. And then now you're screwed. You got to watch the whole thing. An hour and a half of straight up torture for these poor developers, and the distress, you know, the performance. You got to sell. And it's not easy. And it takes a lot of work. So that's my issue with us gamers. And then also you take it on the other side, man. I know it sounds like I'm a developer or something. I'm really not. But the other side of it is, can the developers find a way to balance this and make it proper for gamers to be able to want to support it? Like I said, I will pay $100 for the Division and Destiny because they continuously try to improve their games. So that's like I'm paying for the service. $60 for the game, $40 for the service. Now, would that have come with a DLC? Yeah. So it's complicated because how do you look at that? How do you measure that, right? So $100 off the bat. Season pass, that's what they call it. Right? You pay 60 and then you pay 40 for the season pass. Right now, discount deal. Or you can pay $20 each for DLC or something. I don't know how they want to play it. But there's so many different ways and prices and comparisons. You know, I actually want to Google it now. DLC versus microtransactions. I want to actually Google it. And I want to write an article about it because in my perspective, you know, having free content as far as like game modes, they should always be free. Players the community shouldn't be split. It's just my opinion. That's key. So that's the reason why I wouldn't want. But if I do that, then our company's gonna go down the drain. Money's not made out of trees, or it is made out of trees, sort of. But I'm not gonna make any money, and we're not gonna be able to survive as a studio. If we just sell the game and everything's free, it's a problem. So then, do I want to have microtransactions and be a hypocrite because I've always never bought one of microtransactions? So if I'm me as an owner of a company, and I'm also me as a player, I'm never gonna buy my own content. That is some sad nonsense, and it's hypocritical, right? But how would I do this? Should we do season pass only? Should we, not season pass? Should we do microtransactions for what? I wouldn't say modes should ever be microtransactions. Maybe cosmetics, things that are not pay to win. So it's complicated, and I don't know how we're gonna go about it. But I think the industry is very interesting right now when it comes to that. But for me, I definitely would do free game modes, allowing the players and communities to stay together, build, grow, love the game, share it with your friends, play with your friends, etc. Then from there, what things can we price to be able to benefit? Because like if I price the stupid things that you don't want to buy, then my company's not making any money, and I just completely wasted all this resources and finances. For example, my favorite game, Metal Gear Solid V: The Phantom Pain, I sit there and I'll tell you 100% there's microtransactions in the FOBs, which is a base, an online base that you create to battle other players, but also to get resources for your base. So you can buy those, and the thing, you buy the coins actually to buy those. So basically, yeah, you buy currency, which is microtransactions, and you use that currency in the game. So I've never bought those. Now that game, I know it's for a fact, for production costs over 180 million to be exact, over 180 million just to produce it. Never mind distribution, never mind promotion, all of the other aspects that come along with this game. So you're telling me that they're gonna just charge $60 and hope that people buy, and that they make enough to cover everything, all the costs, and keep going with their business? No. So microtransactions, while I've never purchased them, I'm not defending them either. If the company needs to survive, I don't want my favorite games to die. Like Division, I would pay for another DLC right now, even though it's 2 years old. If they had DLC coming out, which they do in December, early December, it's free. But if it wasn't free, I would pay for it because I love that company, that game, and I hope they do a Division Part 2 ASAP. So for me, I don't know, what's going to be the answer. I really don't. And how can we go about it in a way where the consumers and the developers both win? We want to be able to support our developers, but we want to be able to not blow $150 on DLC or microtransactions or whatever the hell that you're trying to charge me for. So anyway, that's a big heavy topic. I'm not going to dive deeper into it. as I said in the beginning, the industry is at a powerful place. We're influencing the world. Our impact in the world is extreme, and there's a lot of work, jobs for the industry, and you can go out and search, find work. There's even the freelance stuff, which is streaming, YouTubing, and doing all this cool content stuff. There's money to be made. Like, I haven't chased the dream of making it a financial goal or blowing up with this. I have very targeted personal things, like creating my video game and building relationships with publishers and developers for the future. When the time comes, I will have everybody I need to get this thing going, you know. But in the end of the day, I really trust and respect that this industry is in good hands. It's done so many great things, and the future is looking better and brighter, and it's an amazing journey that we've gotten here. And to touch on my personal journey, I basically opened up and changed everything that I was doing. If you look at my history, all my social medias were personal. They were business for music, you know, like my Facebook says music, you know, and all this was all music. The usernames and stuff had to do with music. Everything involved my music world, my career with that. And in 2015, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna chill out and enjoy this gaming stuff. Let's see what it's all about. Change my life. Sit down and play games all day. And that was what I've been doing since 2017, and it's been going great. We're working on a documentary, hanging out with some of these guys, and been to E3, did some great stuff there. You know, just opened up the website, doing esports events, just a journey of enjoyment, to be honest. That's all it is. I don't have a goal of like, oh, well, I want to be famous. I want to be YouTube famous or streamer famous. It's all just to joy. But lately, all of this has been giving me a burden, or not a burden, I would say pressure to do more and to be more. And I honestly been thinking about it, like, wow, like I have to take this responsibility and show the world that you want to continue to build on the future. You can't just be satisfied. So while I have been on and off satisfied with certain things, I need to take it to the next level, and I have to do that with the community. And everybody's always been telling me, oh, why don't we get our own Metal Gear community? And I said no. I've been building up others and supporting others privately, secretly, and I don't want to stop that. And I think the future can look really good on what we're doing. So I'm blessed to be able to, and these podcasts are back. This week I started bringing them back, and I'm hoping that everybody gets to enjoy them the way they used to. Thousands of viewers, you would watch them. Today was a little bit back and forth. I kind of got stuck on the whole microtransaction because it's a hot topic, but in fact, you know, the industry is just amazing right now, and that's the key, and that's the purpose of this. And we're going to keep on building on this movement podcast, and we'll go from there. And I'm just grateful overall that I can do this. For all those folks who watch and support what I do, you know, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So, without further ado, we're gonna close this out in a minute. I will get into a couple quick questions that were asked on Facebook, Twitter, etc. So we're gonna have a different format. So people are asking, a couple of people asked, why don't you have face cam or you know, whatever, the camera. And I think I will. I think I'm gonna move this world and do something. I'm gonna do something really creative. I'm gonna figure it out, guys. I feel like, you know, I can do something dope with this design here that I have, but I want to integrate a camera somehow. We'll see how that goes. That'll be in the future. I'm not gonna worry about that too much. I just started doing the podcast on Monday, man. Give me a break. All right. I originally did the podcast because people have been wanting me to just speak my mind. I always talk about positive stuff, and they're like, man, why don't you just do a podcast? And I just did it, you know, and it was a great time. It was fun. It was entertaining. I'm gonna do them religiously every day again, and I'm gonna open up the table for everybody, and then at the end of the show do the questions. I think it's hard, right? If you do a live stream but you're doing a podcast and then the questions aren't until the end, it kind of sucks as a viewer. You know, I wasn't thinking about it as a viewer. I was thinking of it as me wanting to express myself and not lose train of thought as I go. But anyway, so that's the first thing. Yes, I'm going to get a camera one day. I have a camera. I just haven't set this podcast stream set up for that, to be honest. And it's not that I don't want to, but I like doing these podcasts and thinking and feeling rather than looking in the camera and kind of trying to put on the show physically so you can see my face. But we'll figure that out. And then secondly, these are criticisms, by the way. Secondly, can I kick some bars and stop talking? Can I kick some bars? I can definitely kick some bars. There's no doubt that I can rip up a little flow. Now, should I do that? I don't know, because the things I might say, you got to understand, right? In 2017, nobody freestyles. There's like very few people who actually rap freestyling. If people don't know what freestyling means, it means saying something right off the top of your head, something that you just openly want to say. You know, just being completely true without having to write anything down. Nowadays, people will go into a studio and go on TV and be like, I'm about to freestyle, but it's really something that they wrote that they act like it's a freestyle. You know, but I'm a real freestyler, old school style, where I will kick you some bars without writing anything down. I just need a dope beat, and I'll be happy to do it. So we're actually good. We might just kick a little something real quick, right? Turn the beat up. Yeah, I love this beat. I hope y'all can hear me and feel me. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with it. I am the truest. I'ma do this. You already know this is more than just music. I ain't new to this. Don't be a fool like this. This is what you call a movement, but it's a podcast. When I'm on, I rip, rap, and rock back. Won't stop when I drop that. I kick back, make them flip back. Sit back while I kick that. Ha, yeah, I spit that raw. Won't stop to the death. I'm giving you bars for sure. Magnetic force. When I kick it off, I'ma hit you with the yeah. Let's just go. Hit them with the flow. Yeah, you already know I'ma go to infinity. You can't test me. Microphone tester. Yeah, the best be. No stressing the lesson. You better learn now before you get blessed quick. Yeah, don't check this. I'm the microphone king when I wreck you. Yeah, turn up the bass. Won't never stop. Let me get in your face. Yeah, yeah. This is exactly how I do it. Once again, it's the podcast movement. Hey, podcast movement. Hey, podcast movement. Hey, this the podcast movement. Hey, this the podcast. Yeah, this the podcast movement. Hey, this the podcast. This the podcast. And I am the movement. I tell them who it be. Mad gamer. Won't stop to the flow. You know my aim at ya. Won't stop to the death. Kick bars won't stop when I rep. Let's go hip hop. I won't ever quit till I drop.
This is real to the core, to the raw, when the ball, when I'm hitting y'all call. Everybody try to act like they know. Everybody try to act like they could flow, but they couldn't and they wouldn't and they shouldn't never test me. On the microphone, I'm just the best B. Twist them up, spin them up like Nestle tea. Yeah, that's me, the real MC. When I kill these beats, I be drilling the streets and feeling me, yeah. That's exactly how we do it. It's the podcast movement. You dig it? Anyway. I shouldn't have did that. I thought that was kind of fly, man. I think I'm going to do that every show at the end. True story. So yeah, so I try to make like a chorus, aka hook, in the middle of there, because the beat drops into the hook part. But I didn't really do nothing special. I just did the podcast movement. It's kind of dope. I ain't gonna lie. So I'm gonna be doing that every show, I guess. From now on, it's gonna be a tradition, and just having fun. And what we're gonna do next time is, you guys are gonna give me words to spit, and then we'll go from there. So next time, we're gonna be showcase exactly what I mean by freestyle. Like, I freestyled there, and I wasn't that hot. To be honest, it wasn't the best bars I ever spit at all. But I had fun, and next time you kick some words, and I'll spit those bars within the wordplay. Right? Cool. But besides that, man, we are just vibing out. It was a good time. Some more quick questions. Don't ask me to spit bars every time I get on, first of all. You can't be doing that. Alright. Some of the winners for the esports stuff were asking when's the next tournament for the game. I know this isn't about the podcast. This is separate, but it's all involved because the madgamer.com is my site, and aimesports.com is my site, and AIM Esports is running the esports events, and we had a Metal Gear Online tournament, and we're going to be setting it up for January because December is too close, and we've been trying to work some deals out and get some things rolling for everybody. So just expect news during the holidays of Christmas, right before the New Year's, and then we're going to put it out there for the world to get involved. So that's that. I'm going to leave it alone and not talk about it for a couple weeks from now. But besides that, what else questions you guys got? Will you be having guests? You should definitely put in. Yeah, man, I agree. The way it goes for me in this podcast, I don't schedule it. I don't plan the topics. I don't write one word down. I think too many times dudes don't have enough content to speak. I think I got too much content. I think I got too much to say, and it's best that I just let it go off the top. But to have a co-host and have people involved, I'm definitely gonna create a system so that I can get engaged when the time comes, when it's necessary. But for now, negative. For now, I'll see. We're gonna create a system. I think on my Discord, I'm gonna have to start populating that and using that for my podcast. All right, so we'll do that, and everybody can get involved and enjoy with me. So hopefully that goes good. Besides that, what else is going on with me? Nothing, man. It's gonna be the first holidays in the last 2 years that I kind of take a break from big events. We did our Extra Life. I'm gonna have an event every first of the month for Extra Life, and then I'm just gonna play through the Metal Gear series for the rest of the year. That's all that is going on for me personally in the next 2 months until the new year comes in. And then the New Year's, we'll have the esports events. We're going to have a big splash for Metal Gear Survive. We'll get into that in the future. And then just chilling, man. Nothing much. Just chilling. Doing these podcasts. I kind of look at them as a good way to express myself. So, we're going to have a schedule for it in the future. But for now, I'm just chilling and enjoying it, man. going with the flow. That's about it. When it comes to other parts, what's up with the K Code podcast you did before? That podcast is a universal podcast for the crew. K Code is a streaming team for Konami streamers who stream Konami games, basically. I'm a Metal Gear guy, so that's why I'm in there. I've been there since the start. I really love to build that consistently, and these guys do a great job. Guys like Baby Joker, Visions, the two key guys that are really putting in the work with me for that. We're gonna do bigger and better ones for the rest of the year. So when the time comes, you'll see it on my Twitter. It's not going nowhere. I just gotta stay on top of things. But I do appreciate everybody who has joined us in these journeys and all of that good stuff. That podcast is gonna be good, man. They have some guys, new guys coming in, and it's a lot more variety. It's not just me talking, and it has a lot more co-host. So it's gonna be like 5 or 6 people interacting with each other. So you can get some funny stuff, some cool stuff, some interesting stuff. It'll be really good, I think, in my opinion. So we'll see how that works. And last but not least, a couple more questions and then I'm out of here. So everybody's asking, what about this documentary? Two guys were asking, is a documentary me playing video games? No, it's actually I went to E3 and recorded interviews, and it's some really dope stuff. I just hope the editor can get his job done and do his part. There's been some ups and downs with that that I won't get into, but just delays, and in time hopefully all of this can get done right and we'll have it before Christmas. It would be my hope and dream and goal, but I'm not stressing it. I just want to have fun with it and hope that it comes out beautiful. Besides that, it's just been a really good time making it, and I've been humbled, by meeting those guys who came out and basically carried me. These film guys who they're good skills with the filming, and I just did all the interviews and stuff that I set up and got new ones together while I was there and just had fun. It was pretty chill. I love it, and I want to do a better run at that next year. Set up a couple interviews for like 2 days and then just get wild and reckless. So, but that's the situation. Outside of that, there's not much else that I can do. If I want the updates, madgamer.com, we're just doing reviews, interviews, and stuff like that. Show support to that, man. But overall, just have fun, man. Video games is all about enjoyment, and life is so short. You want to make the best of it, and video games can help you escape some stress. You have a long day and you just want to go home and play a video game, and that's how I feel a lot. So I like that, and I hope everybody can do that and keep that spirit of enjoyment throughout all these games and all the things that they do. You know what I mean? But it's time to go. That's for sure. I'm about to leave. I'm out the door. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. See, y'all got me rapping, so now the flow is starting to kick in and vibe out and flow. And yo, we out here, man. You turn to an MC, I ain't gonna talk English no more. I'm gonna be like, yo, man, my man, you get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I dig you. No, I'm just playing. Podcast, the movement has been cool today. I appreciate the freestyle thing. It actually really opened me up. Feeling really good about it. Next time I'll kick better bars. That's for sure. I just rusty as hell, man. But overall, it was a good time. Thank you guys for all the questions. There's a lot more in here, but I guess I'll privately answer them. And we'll talk, because these are more not podcasts. I think we want to stay within the podcast conversation, so I'm gonna probably do like a in between questionnaire, 20 minutes of talk, 10 minutes of questions, 20 minutes of talk, and then 10 minutes of questions, something like that in the future. We got to figure it out, man. Together we can do this. Thank you guys for coming out. The Movement Podcast will continue once again every day, just for you. And if not every day, most of the days, just for you. Thank you guys. Peace.